Welcome back to AgriTalk. On today's conversation, we are talking about innovations within the livestock value chain development. And with me in studio is Dr. Isaiah Chacha, who is a vet surgeon. Before we took the break, Dr. we were talking about reproduction innovation.
Yes.
And we are talking about how farmers can get good semen from very good bulls from across the world. And there is a catalog for that.
Yes.
So my question was, how easy is it to interpret the information in the catalog? And what do I need to know if it's a little bit technical?
Okay. So that catalog usually shows characteristics, as I've said, of a bull. And those characteristics, we want that bull to transfer them so they produce an offspring with either modified or improved those characteristics. So you'll see things like teat length, the teat, maybe other size. You see something called angularity of the leg, the hind legs, the angle at which the hind legs stand, especially a dairy cow, are very important in relation to milk production. And also there's something we call angularity of the around the back of the lumbar. So those are some of the things that that catalog contains. And there are so many others. And also the average milk production of the daughters from that bull.
Okay.
So mostly those characteristics are given an index, a number. And that number, and even on that catalog, they usually graphs. So maybe a certain bull A, bull B, bull A, bull B, bull C will have their graphs. So it's not very easy for a layman or a farmer to interpret that catalog. So that's why I said it's good if artificial insemination provider or veterinary surgeons or livestock animal health specialists is supposed to help the farmers to interpret.
Okay.
And again, the most important thing where this person, the technician, comes in is to identify the characteristics of the farmer's cow. So he's supposed to identify what is the angularity of the hind limbs versus what kind of bull will correct that if the angle is too sharp or too wide.
Okay.
So this person should assess and check the catalog and look for a bull that will correct that, if that's the trait of concern. So if the issue is milk production, which bull produces the best, produces daughters with the best milk, who are the best milk producers? So you should be able to identify that bull and use that semen. It's also important to note that there are farmers who are educated, and there are others who have been in this field for a very long time, so they know.
So they understand.
A farmer will call an inseminator and tell him or her, I need a certain bull. They usually have codes world over. Even the ones in Kagrik, they have codes and even names, and most farmers know them. But now the other problem comes in when a certain bull is a very good milk producer, produces daughters who produce a lot of milk. And as I said, you know these bulls have a lifespan, maybe 8 years. But even when they die, they will have produced semen that can stay even up to 100 years.
Oh, okay.
Because usually it's harvested almost every day. And in a day, a bull can produce semen that can be packed into even 100 straws. So there are some bulls that were there a long time ago. Some of our old parents know them. And they still insist up to date that they want to use those bulls. Now the danger is it will lead to what we call inbreeding.
Okay.
Which means that bull will sire the mother, and then sire the daughters, then sire the granddaughters, which means you're breeding along the same line. And along the way, you tend to dilute those genetics and produces offsprings with weaker characteristics, which also not desirable.
So it become counterproductive.
Counterproductive.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So on this catalog also, you said these bulls have, is it?
Codes.
Codes.
Yes.
These codes are like our fingerprints or our ID numbers.
It's a number, like ID number, exactly.
So not one particular bull will have another cord like any other bull around the world?
No.
Okay.
Cannot.
So when I say I want this bull, I'll be sure that's the bull I'm getting.
Yes.
Okay.
And when the inseminator inseminates the cow, it's supposed to leave a straw, that straw where semen was in.
Those
It's like
letters.
a vial.
Uh-huh.
So that on that vial, the code is written there.
So in my records, I have it somewhere there.
Yes, so you're supposed to have a file, and he also leaves a leaf of the details of the insemination he did a paper. So he's supposed to have a file, attach that straw on that paper, on that page, and then you put it in a file. So any other time you can refer that this is the code, and this is the bull, and this is the person who did it, this is the date. And then that again goes back to records. So all farmers should keep proper records.
Okay. I know record keeping can be a topic of its own. So there were two others. Embryo transfer.
Yes. Let me start with in vitro fertilization.
Okay.
What you call IVF. So in vitro fertilization, this whole process, first of all, starts, as I said, it's because we want some desirable characteristics. Maybe we have a cow that's very good in milk production. It has all the qualities of a dairy cow. And then these others are just below par. So that cow is an asset. We should maximize on that cow. As I've said, even by the time it dies and completes its lifespan or stops reproducing, we will have enough, we'll have harvested enough of its offsprings. So for in vitro fertilization, such kind of a cow is made to over-ovulate. What that means is, when they are on heat, they ovulate so that they mate and reproduce an offspring. Mm-hmm. But in this case, it's homogenically stimulated to produce a lot of ova. Usually it will produce one or maybe two in case of twins at a time, and that's the one that will be fertilized. But in this case, it's stimulated by hormones to produce many, what we call superovulation. It can produce even 20 or 30. So they are produced and then they are fertilized. So sperm is introduced and they are fertilized. But now, in vitro fertilization is done outside the cow, in the lab.
Okay.
So the ova are harvested before they are fertilized. Then fertilization happens in the lab. So all these 20 or 30 ova are fertilized with also a sperm of a cow, a bull with desirable characteristics. So once they are fertilized, and then they reach a stage of an embryo, they are now again planted in other cows, because see, this cow can only carry one. So if there are 20, you look for 20 other cows, what we call surrogate mothers now, that maybe they don't have the characteristics we are looking for. So we use them to carry pregnancy. So they are also stimulated by hormones to attain a stage when they are able to receive an embryo. So that in their gestation period, they'll be at that point where this embryo has reached, usually about 8 to 16 days. So they're implanted. After they're implanted, now they carry pregnancy as normal, as if they themselves are pregnant. So then they deliver, then we harvest those, the offsprings.
Okay.
So those are the ones with the characteristics we desire. So that's in vitro fertilization. Then embryo transfer is the process of transferring these embryos from the original owner of that maybe cow with the desirable characteristics to others which are surrogate. Mm-hmm. So with embryo transfer, it does not matter whether fertilization was done in the cow or outside. So that's the difference.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and the cows that are being transferred to, are they supposed to have particular characteristics or?
Well, of course, they should be fit to carry pregnancy. They should be healthy. But those other, what you call genotypic characteristics are not of our concern. we just look at the phenotypic. Phenotypic are the physical appearance, what you see in a cow, that it's black, it's big. Those are phenotypic. Then genotypic are those inborn characteristics that are in the genes. So those are the ones that we want. So long as it's phenotypically sound and able to carry pregnancy, that's what we look at.
Okay.
Yeah.
And does it transfer any genes to the embryo or not?
No, that it doesn't transfer.
Just carry the pregnancy?
Yes.
Okay. So when it comes to costs...
And again, maybe to add, this also happens in humans. So it's the same principle.
Okay.
Yeah. Apart from maybe superovulation, maybe these are cases where maybe a mother cannot be able to carry a child to term, or because of one or two reasons, so somebody else carries
the child on their behalf.
No overpopulation.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So in terms of costs, how from the AI to the embryo transfer, how are the costs?
So for AI, cost can range between 500 shillings, that's for the service, all the way to about maybe 3,000 shillings. But now semen has its cost also.
Okay.
As I said, it can range between maybe 300 for local semen up to around 10,000, 15,000 for specialized imported semens. Now these are the embryo transfer. In vitro fertilization may be a bit costly because of the lab. And, I don't think the farmers would do it. Mostly it's for academic purposes. That whole process can cost between 100 maybe to 500,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
When it comes to achieving the hybrid status for your cows, is there a shortcut between the three of them? Or you have to still take the process of, I remember what I learned in school, you have to improve your breed every year to achieve.
Yes. Actually, what you're asking is, let's say you have a cow that's not a Frisian. Maybe it's a cross between a Frisian and maybe a Zebu, and you want it to be a Frisian. So it's estimated that you'll take up to 4 generations for that cow to be considered a pure Frisian or a thoroughbred. What that means is that you will use a bull that's a pure Frisian on that cow. So it produces a heifer. Then this heifer use another bull that's also a pure Frisian. So this heifer will be the first generation. Then this heifer will produce another heifer. So that heifer will be the second generation, third generation, and fourth generation.
Okay.
So usually the fourth generation will be considered a pure breed.
Okay.
You can even start with a local cow and keep on improving until you get to the fourth generation. But it takes time. Remember, maybe a cow will produce the first offspring at 2 years, then 2 years, 2 years, or so at least 8 years. And sometimes you may miss, maybe the first will be a bull. So something that usually takes time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even embryo transfer I have to go through those stages again?
But now in embryo transfer, remember I said we look for a female that has the best characteristics.
Yes.
And a bull with the best characteristics. So this one we don't gamble, we don't go for
this. So this is straight away?
Yeah, straight away. So this one we are just trying to overpopulate, to produce more that are super producers, to have more super producers cows.
Okay. I'm also told we are running out of time. I don't know. Do we talk a little bit about disease diagnosis and technology that comes when it comes to controlling disease in the farm? Okay. I don't know. Do we have any that you have in mind?
Yeah, pest and disease control is a major area in livestock production. There's so many ways, and some of these causes a lot of economic losses, morbidity, that means the cows become sick, and mortality, so some may die. Maybe because of time, I may talk about vaccination. As it is with vaccination, the aim is to create immunity into the body.
Okay.
Yeah, but recently there have been another vaccine for a disease called East Coast fever, or otherwise called the filariasis. This vaccine is what we call infection and treatment method. So this vaccine, we infect the animal with the real disease. and treat it immediately.
Okay.
So, and again, the good advantage about this is that this vaccine is long time, it's long life.
So when you get one jab, that is it.
That's all. Most of these animal vaccines, there are some that are even done in every 3 months, like foot and mouth disease, and most of them are every year. So this one is a lifetime vaccine. So when your animal gets sick, and it's, for instance, this disease, East Coast fever, is very expensive to treat. One cow will cost about 5,000 or up to 10,000. And for a small-scale farmer, that's quite a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
And the fatality rate is very high, even up to 60%. So if you look at the cost of the vaccination usually costs about 1,000 to 2,000 shillings. And your animal will get lifetime immunity. Then it's an innovation that will save a lot of farmers.
Okay. This is the only, the innovation is only for East Coast fever?
Yeah, that's for a vaccine for East Coast fever.
Okay.
You know, vaccine covers a certain kind of disease.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for foot and mouth, we still don't have that kind of vaccine?
There's also, for foot and mouth, the current vaccine that's in the market is done every 3 months. It's recommended to be vaccinated, animals to be vaccinated every 3 months. But there was another one that was to be launched by our institution. It's called Kevevapi, which we say it's oil-based. That one we will have been done every year. I think the research is still going on, but if that comes to fruition, then also there will be some improvement from every 3 months to every year.
Okay.
So it still is a technology and a good improvement.
Okay.
Yeah, but most other vaccines, the other vaccine like rabies, anthrax, most of them recommendation is every year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. We've come to an end of this conversation, and I still see we had a lot of topics still to go through. I think we'll still call you back.
Thank you.
Then we can narrow down to the ones we've not tackled today, and see how we can still try to tackle them within the time that we will have. For our viewers back at home who are just joining, or we joined in the middle of this conversation, today we are talking about innovations within the livestock value chain development. And with me in studio today was Dr. Isaiah Nchagwa Chacha, who is a vet surgeon, and he's been able to explain a lot of this and what farmers need to know when it comes to innovations in the livestock sector. And for today, that is it, all the time we had. Until next time, goodbye.